Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov gang. And tonight, the toughest streetwise gang members of the Glazov gang are here with us tonight, but also intellectuals. Our first gang member, Josh Brewster, not just a concerned citizen, but a collector in his private time. Do not owe this man money. Dwight Schultz.
Oh, no.
A great Hollywood star. Played Reg Barkley on Star Trek. And Tommi Trudeau wanted me to say that, right? Because you don't think we plug the other...
Well, you got to do a great actor justice. Murdoch on the A-Team.
Right.
Reginald Barkley on Star Trek The Next Generation. Every Trekkie knows that. Remember that cool time when you had the thing and it made you really smart and you took the Enterprise to the other galaxy? Wasn't that badass?
No.
Yes. And he took the Enterprise to another galaxy to talk to some big bearded dude. It was awesome.
Yes, let's move on now.
There.
Let's move on.
And
please.
also, why he's a gang member, undefeated in street fights on the streets of Watts and Beverly Hills. And he is known to have defeated Steven Seagal in a Fight Club after-hours party many years ago. But this is a rumor, but there might be some truth to it, right, Dwight?
Could be.
And last but not least, Tommi Trudeau, who got into an accident riding his Harley several months ago, and all people heard while he was flying through the air was, "Oh my God, my Harley."
That's true.
Is that true?
That's a Harley rider. The first thing you think is, "Oh my God, the bike!"
Didn't even care about his own life.
Well, no, I mean, you know how much it is to fix that stupid
Usually
thing?
the athletic supporter.
Also, producer of music.
And I have to point out, am I wrong, Dwight? The only person ever to take the Enterprise to another galaxy.
Oh, come on. Let's get off of this.
I get up and I'm a Trekkie. I'm a Trekkie. That's awesome. Nobody has done it. Not Picard, not anybody.
And that's our show this evening, folks. Tommi Trudeau is also a producer of music videos and films.
Yes.
And sometimes you're mistaken with Cher. Am I correct?
That's right. That's my better days.
Okay, and show our audience your fingernail polish, please, because there's always a debate on it. What is the color this week?
I have no idea. I just use the fast drying stuff because I'm impatient.
Okay.
So I grab whatever says fast drying.
Gentlemen, from the world of jokes and buffoonery to the serious issues of our day, which is why the Glazov gang gathers. Hillary Clinton expressed the fact that Israel does not have enough empathy and generosity towards the Palestinians. This is after years and decades, if not longer, of abuse and suicide bombings and terrorism, and the Israelis giving concession after concession, and also giving the Arabs more rights in Israel than Arabs have anywhere else in the Middle East, and yet they are the victims of terrorism, and yet Hillary Clinton is saying that they don't have enough empathy for the Palestinians. One would think she might have said something about the Palestinians maybe should have a little bit of empathy for the Jewish people. Any thoughts on this? Let's begin with you, Tommi.
I say ho hum, drum, 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 ho hum. I mean, what in the world did you expect? There's no reason to even engage anyone on the left. It's easy to figure out. This is easy to figure out. Their response, under any circumstances, in any situation whatsoever, is always the same. So why should this surprise you? Condemn Israel, support Islam. Under any circumstances, condemn Israel, support Islam. Their response is always the same.
Thank you, Tommi. And so the left, it's not necessarily a surprise, but I think that Hillary squirms and slides, in my opinion, in the moral sewer. But it's just getting lower and lower.
Well, you know, I think they don't necessarily go. The whole thing about the left is they don't stand for anything. You know, they don't stand for anything, so they're not really sliding down in the moral sewer. They really don't have any other agenda other than politics.
Yes, but this is where, we might disagree, or maybe you're using a matter of speech. They do stand for something. They stand for being on the on being in solidarity with the enemies of Israel and with the enemies of the United States. Josh?
Well, yeah, I mean, Tommy has a point. The only thing I would add to it is that there is an element of surprise when you hear the Secretary of the State of the United States blurt that out. There's an element of surprise when you hear the President of the United States say, oh, the Jews should just retreat to 67 borders, or excuse me, he says the Israelis should just retreat to 67 borders. Now, the Palestinians are pulling this nonsense with their vote, and of course they get what they want now because the world is completely opposed to Israel. But there is a little element of surprise. So I disagree with Tommy a little in that you could predict this, but at the same time, it's a bit of a shocker to anyone who's worried about Israel's security, because the talk of 67 borders, that emboldens the Palestinians, and the light response to the Muslim Brotherhood across the Middle East by Obama, that emboldens the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas, etc. So I'm surprised a little bit that she pushed it that far. It's a galling remark. I mean, it's just an awful thing to say. But we can expect more of the same.
But look, yeah, absolutely. But look, even as the First Lady of Bill Clinton during all that time of Camp David and everything, look, they very well know, the Clintons and Hillary know, that Israel gave everything. They were ready to give the Palestinians everything. Arafat rejected everything and then called the Intifada. And all those killings of the Jewish people and the suicide bombings.
Yeah, and the media forgot. The media forgot about that too.
But Hillary knows this. Hillary knows that was a whole setup by Arafat, that there was a betrayal there. How could anybody with any integrity or nobility or honesty make a comment like that?
She's carrying out the policy of Barack Obama, who toasted Rashid Khalidi. This is a man who we all know. He hates Israel.
That's right.
He hates the Jews. He hates America. She is also an Alinsky acolyte. There are two of them.
Sorry, when you said he, you're referring to Khalidi or to Obama? Or
no,
both?
no, Obama.
Oh,
hates,
okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obama. She is carrying out his policy. What is striking is that it hasn't happened before. One sits back waiting for the shoe to drop. We have all said that now that Barack Obama has been reelected, it's going to be far worse.
Oh, sure.
That's why he's pushing us over the cliff, and why the hate of people who have any wealth. And it's astonishing. I mean, it's all coming undone, and it's becoming clearer and clearer. And unfortunately, it's going to cause a lot of bitterness here in the United States between ordinary citizens. But it's not surprising. She's also look. She's yet to testify about what happened in Benghazi, where an ambassador, one of her people, was murdered. And she is yet to come back to this country and sit down and explain what happened, all because of the policy of the President of the United States, which is to support the Muslim Brotherhood and not to worry about those wonderful Muslims over there who really, I heard on from a reporter from the New York Times, oh, the Muslim Brotherhood, it's just a political arm now. It's not involved in exactly what it's involved in, which is the murder of anyone who they are opposed to. Sorry.
You're right. What are you sorry about?
Dwight, you got to stop beating around the bush and say what you really think once in a while.
Right.
Gentlemen, but look, one more question and we'll move on to our next topic. Israel gives Gaza to the Palestinians.
Yes.
Here is Gaza. The Palestinians elect Nazis to lead them and start using Gaza to launch rockets into Israel.
As Israel said they would.
Yes.
Year after year after year, the Palestinians are violating the Oslo Accords, violating everything by the mosques and the media and the schools teaching that Jews are descended from apes and monkeys, that Israel doesn't exist and we must kill Jews, and kids and babies in cribs, and the Fogel family that represents everything Palestinians have perpetrated against Israel. And for a Secretary of State to make a remark like that, let me ask you this: why did she say that? Because for me, uttering that sentence is a moral crime. Why did she say that, Tommy?
Simple. It's all politics for her. Morality doesn't play a part. It's politically advantageous for her to say that.
Why?
Number one, Barack Obama is not the best ally of Israel. He is definitely a very, very loyal ally to the Muslim Brotherhood. And so she's...
You're saying our president is an ally to the Muslim Brotherhood?
Of course, he's supported the Muslim Brotherhood time and time and time again. And he has been absolutely silent on what is happening in Egypt right now. For instance, the new constitution.
Yes, we're going to talk about that.
You know,
Okay, Josh, why'd she say?
It is much easier for her to back Israel into a corner and to continue to corner the Jews and to continue to make them concede than it is to let the world know that it's wrong. See, the world is we're a bizarro world here.
Upside
You've
down.
got Czechoslovakia, or Czech Republic, the only sane people in Europe, they vote against the Palestinians. United States and Canada went along with it. There's just a few nations went along with it. And the fact of the matter is, while everybody's worried, why does the U.S. support Israel so much? What they really should ask themselves is, why does the world reject Israel so much? We have it right to support Israel. The world has it wrong. And that's what needs to come out of the mouth of the president, but it won't because of the reasons that Tommi and Dwight described.
In a sentence, why did Hillary say that?
Because cornering Israel is politically expedient and easier than taking on 1 billion Muslims.
Listen, in my opinion, this is like standing and watching Auschwitz, Buchenwald, and Dachau, and backing up the guards and backing up the perpetrators. I think this is a moral crime, what she said.
Well, I agree. But remember this, Barack Obama has just been reelected. Everybody knows that support for Israel was going to be taken out of the Democratic Party platform until there was a big brouhaha about it. And they were worried about being reelected, but that's what they wanted to do. She knows that this is the policy of the President of the United States, and that's what the Secretary of State does. They enforce the policy of the President of the United States. So look to him. And it is, and what Josh just said, is it is expedient. No one wants to have their heads severed. And so it's better to hate the Jews and have the Muslims of the world love you, quote unquote, until the next generation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your wisdom. I expect only one sentence right now. Why is Hillary resigning as Secretary of State? Tommi.
There's a whole lot more going on with Benghazi than we even realize.
You think that she's trying to wash her hands clean of something?
There's a lot more that's not been told yet.
Do you know anything you can tell me after the show?
No, but my hypothesis...
That's your hypothesis, Benghazi?
I'll build on
or
that.
Political ambitions?
It's perfect timing. If she's exhausted, it's the perfect moment for her to regroup, and she can think about her political future if she wants to have one. It's the perfect time for her to
ambitions.
step away. Why not step away?
Political ambitions, something to do with Benghazi. Dwight, you have a prophetic mind as well as some psychic ability.
No, I don't have those, but I rationally look at a woman who should not have ever reached the level that she has reached. She's a monotone, a bore, and she is looking out for her own political future, and it's better for her to resign now than being forced to resign once the truth about the negligence in Benghazi comes out.
Gentlemen, Morsi flees. Egyptian Revolution Part 2. Obama supporting Egyptians in the streets when it's against Mubarak, an ally of the United States. But now that the Muslim Brotherhood consolidates its tyranny and the Egyptians are in the streets against the Muslim Brotherhood, it's hands off, and the Obama administration is saying that people should be talking with one another. They weren't saying that when Mubarak was in power. What's going on here? Morsi's fleeing, demonstrations in the streets, and the Obama administration again not supporting a democratic movement like they didn't do in Iran. What do you make of all this, Tommi? Again, not a surprise.
No, not at all.
Okay, but
and it's one of the greater tragedies of the United States throwing people who are actually fighting for freedom and liberty, throwing them to the dogs. That's the very issue with the resistance in Iran. They won't rise up because they know the United States will not have their backs. This resistance in Egypt, they're doing it on their own. The United States does not have their backs. If the United States has anybody's back, it's Morsi, and the United States will not support those actually fighting for their freedom, to be free of a crazy theocratic regime. they support the Muslim Brotherhood, just plain and simple.
I just find it incredible that we have a president that empowered the Muslim Brotherhood, let them in the front two seats in the Cairo speech, helped them get into power, swept the rug from under the feet of Mubarak, and they're in power. Now he's not fervently supporting the people that are trying to overthrow the tyranny. And we still have so many deniers in the United States, even in the mainstream media, that are not calling him on it.
Well, listen, I don't want to bring up the last election, but I do want to say this. Tommy just mentioned something along these lines. Mitt Romney mentioned that Obama was throwing Israel under the bus. And I was dying to hear him repeat that about 50 to 100 more times in the campaign, but he didn't. It's that kind of moral clarity. Someone has to challenge this nonsense. Our media is going to go along with his ignoring the people in the streets in Egypt. Someone has to come to the fore and say, what about the people on the streets? But who's going to do it? If the media is just there to cheer for Obama, who cares if he ignores the people in the streets? And I mean, it's time for some clarity.
But it's a disgrace.
Oh, it's beyond disgraceful. Yeah. And it's going to get worse because he's emboldened now. He has another term. He can support whoever he wants. And by the way, I want to add one thing. I hope Benjamin Netanyahu does not pick up the phone for the next 4 years when the American president calls. And I'm sorry to say that because God bless America, but at the same time, he shouldn't even give him the time of day. He shouldn't talk to him. He shouldn't even ask him what he wants him to do. I think he should ignore him. I really think he should ignore Obama completely. Do whatever the hell he wants. That's what I think. Seriously.
For my 2 cents, this goes back to Michelle Bachmann calling out Huma Abedin. The whole policy of that was stated by the Obama administration that jihad is personal, that there is no radical Islam, none, it doesn't exist. Muslim Brotherhood is a political arm. It's a wonderful thing. We should embrace them. They're not violent. All of this is the basis of administration policy. That's it. So you're going to support Morsi. You're going to support the Muslim Brotherhood wherever because that is your policy. He's done it. He's put it. The President of the United States he's as far as he possibly can go in that quicksand. And it's not going to change unless there is a political attack by conservatives in the United States who go after him. And to call this a perverse policy, which is destructive to this country and to our allies, until those words in that vein are uttered, you're going to see this fantasy continue.
Gentlemen, in terms of even our media, and Fox News does so much important work, but these voices, and one of the reasons why I wanted to start the Glazov gang and do the Glazov gang is to get these voices out there. This is not really even discussed on Fox News, which is supposed to be the torch carrying. I mean, there's still some brave voices. I think Hannity still's got some courage. Greg Gutfeld still says very important things, but there seems to be a surrender on many levels, even on the O'Reilly factor, etc. Quick word on that before we go and finish. Very quickly, what do you think of the media and even Fox News not saying these things?
Well, I think they're in a way kind of caving to, they have tremendous pressure on them, and they're caving in a little bit.
We're caving in.
I mean, Fox News has been vilified. The tactic of the left is to vilify, dehumanize anyone who disagrees.
Even Romney in the third debate was saying how it was right to pull the rug from under the feet of Mubarak. It's absolutely incredible he didn't make the case.
Yeah.
Quickly, we've got to go.
I hope in our next segment we can talk about what Republicans are willing to hear versus what they're not willing to hear from within their own ranks. So we can talk about that in our next segment because there's things they don't want to discuss.
Dwight?
Well, I agree with what Josh just said and what Tommy said. There is a lot of pressure on one organ for the dissemination of information when ABC, NBC, CBS, and let's face it, the majority of and New York Times, Washington Post, the majority of Americans get their news there. We just have to face that's the reality.
Who do you think is the most important host of a conservative talk show right now, and you might actually be on it right now?
Jamie Glazov.
Yeah, the Glazov guy.
Politics Tonight with Tommi Trudeau.
We'll see you tomorrow night for the second segment. Good night.